thank you, Sandy and Carl, for coming together in a non-bipartisan, or in a bipartisan way to put this together, coming together, Democrats and Republicans, to get this forum on the road. So thank you, Carl, thank you, Sandy, for doing that. I'm not going to read some speech that I've been carefully wordsmithing now for a week or so. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to probably get all the grammar and punctuation and capitalization just right in my words. You can blame my 7th grade English teacher for that, Marcia Lorton, some of you guys know her. So I'm going to speak to you tonight from the heart. Anyway, I've been doing this business and I've been kind of a student of politics, and I'm kind of the exception to the insider here. I really wasn't interested in politics until recently. I guess until 4 years ago I decided to get in. But what I've observed, not only in county races and national races, is that when we do negative campaigns, the voters are forced to choose between who is the least worst. And I think that's a disservice to our county, and I think it's a disservice to our country. I think we should choose the best candidate, the most qualified candidate. So when you are hearing things today, some statements or numbers or facts or figures that are all designed to discredit anybody that's in office, I think you should take a look at the overall big picture and see who's the most qualified and vote with that. Vote with that. Vote with your heart, and who is the best representative for Grand County for the future. Who is willing to go forward and take the risk to make tough decisions? Who is willing to stand up for Grand County and advocate for things that are issues that we aren't going to be able to research on a piece of paper, that we have to speak from the heart? Thank you.
Next up, Richard Cimino.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. I am Richard Cimino. As a quick bit of background, I grew up in New Mexico. I went to the Air Force Academy. I graduated in 1994. Upon graduation from college, I entered into the Air Force, and I served 21 years as an intelligence officer. I earned 3 college degrees in geography, business administration, and strategic intelligence. I retired after 21 years, and I have 2 businesses now here in Grand County. I want to tell you a little story about the first time I came to Grand County. It was 1991. I was a freshman at the Air Force Academy. I get some seconds back, right? No. We did a ski weekend in Winter Park. I've been skiing Taos, Fire, Wolf Creek. Man, Winter Park is great. We see the Meadow Ridge, the Congos, overlooking the Fraser Valley, took the bus to the ski resort every day. I couldn't believe it. It was just amazing. I told my buddies, I'm going to live here someday. And they didn't believe me, you know, freshman. But I felt something, and I knew it. And lo and behold, 2 years later, I met a girl at CU who, I couldn't believe it, was a resident of Grand County. We got married, we have 3 children, and we moved here in 2013. I have 2 daughters at East Grand, at Middle Park High School, and 1 son in East Grand Middle School. And we're really glad to be here. We work hard, we contribute, and we just want to belong. And I'm really appreciative of the welcoming nature of the citizens of this county, and I can't wait to serve you and put my 25 years of government experience to work for you. Thank you.
Next up, Tom Wader, District 2.
Well, my name is Tom Whitert, and I'm not as skilled as the impromptu speaking as Commissioner Linke is. We've been up here in Grand County for about 30 years. My wife Kathy and I, we lived down in Denver, and we were looking for a change in lifestyle, and we moved up to Grand Lake in 1987. We built and operated Grand Lake Lanes, and when we sold that in 2001, I began working as an appraiser in the assessor's office and was selected as the county assessor in 2006. I feel very strongly that the county has been going in the wrong direction, and it has been for some time, and that a change in leadership is necessary. I'm deeply troubled by the lack of communication, the toxic atmosphere in the commissioners' meetings, and the dysfunction that is currently seen throughout the county. My experience as the county assessor for the past 10 years, serving on the Grand Lake Town Board for 18 years, the Grand Lake Fire Board for 20 years, they have given me the managerial, the financial, and the people skills required to be an effective commissioner. As county assessor, I have continually reduced my department's budget. It is actually lower by more than 10% from when I first took office 10 years ago. I have reduced my staff by 20%. I have created greater office efficiencies. These experiences have given me the confidence and the tools to deal with sensitive issues in a non-confrontational way. I believe the key to good governance is open communication and respect. Thank you.
Next up, Chaz McConnell, District 1.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chaz McConnell. Thank you very much for coming. This is a very important part of the process. Taking time out of your day to come and listen to the candidates. I've lived in Grant County for 36 years. I arrived with only my college diploma, my work ethic, and $58 in my pocket. I met my beautiful wife, Ann, here. We had our children here. I started McConnell Printing here 28 years ago. My kids, my two great kids, have actually gone through this school. Lucas is studying aerospace engineering at CU, and Caitlin is a sophomore at East Grand Middle School. Honor roll. Very proud to say that. So everything I have is because of Grant County. And after seeing what's been going on for so long at the county government level, I knew that I needed to be involved. I want to be county commissioner, and I'll tell you why, and it isn't because I need a job. It all started in 2007 when I was doing some research on a large development coming into my neighborhood at Winter Park Ranch. I discovered an accounting error made by Grant County government regarding school impact fees and what developers were required to pay to the schools. When this accounting error was brought to the attention of the county and the mistake was corrected, it resulted in the county collecting an additional $1 million for East Grand School District. I'm very proud of that. Those are dollars, real dollars, going directly to the school. After this, I knew that I needed to be more involved. I spent the next 4 years learning and researching all I could about the issues surrounding Grant County, our precious water, the health of our rivers, the importance of economic development, and transportation. Maybe you've seen these bumper stickers. Save the Fraser River, keep Grand Lake blue. That was a concept that I personally came up with. I designed the bumper stickers. I printed them, all for awareness. Something needed to be done. Thank you.
Next up, Andy Miller, District 1.
So, one of my basic family tenets in my family at least is modesty, and so I feel that the last debate to introduce myself. I'm Andrew Miller. My first name came from my grandfather, Andrew, who started the history of my family in Northwest Colorado when he opened a Chevy agency in Craig on the day the banks collapsed. He didn't have a paying customer walk through his door for the first 30 days he was open. I get my last name from my grandfather, C.D. Miller, who came to the valley in 1946 with his two sons to build the county's third ski lodge, Miller's Idlewild Inn. My father, Woody, worked with his brother Dwight to build this lodge and innovate another business, a new business in Grant County. My childhood was spent in that lodge on weekends, vacations, anytime we could come to the mountains. My valley career is centered in innovation and teaching, just like my family. My parents were both teachers. and innovators, business people as well. So I have a nice background in both innovation and teaching. I founded 2 parent co-ops, co-op daycares in the Valley. I just found out the other day that one of my kids from my first daycare is a grandfather. A little scary. One of my businesses is the High Lonesome Hut. It's been the community's cabin in the woods for the last 20 years. My current business is M3 Property Services, a construction business, and I do homes and private residences, but I also do a lot of community projects, including the Broom Hut on Berthoud Pass and the bridge, the pedestrian bridge over the river in Hot Sulphur Springs. My political career began at the Winter Park Manifest in the late 1970s, and I'll tell some stories about that tonight. During my time in the Manifest, I advocated for the building of this school, and both of my kids are graduates of Fraser Valley Elementary. I've raised 2 sons here. Forrest, he's a Navy veteran, and my son Skyler's over in Milner, running my branch of the business there. Thank you.
Next up, Jane Tollett, District 1.
Thank you, and I'm honored to be running against such wonderful people. It is wonderful for the community. I grew up in Michigan, and we moved here 9 years ago. I have 40 years of leadership and management and engineering experience, and I'm a problem solver by nature. But leadership's important too, and that's why I stepped up last fall when we had a vacancy, because I knew that we needed a positive leader. We needed more positive leadership in Grand County. We needed people who could vision, somebody who could create a dream for where Grand County needs to be. And that's what I'm seeing is missing. You can only hope for things to get better so long. You have to not only dream it, but you have to believe that something better can happen. And I'm a person of faith. I know that we can do better. I know that there's a better future for Grand County, and a lot of things can improve. Not only in the county, but also in Grand County government. You have to have an ability to dare. You have to be able to come up with a plan. It's enough to dream, but you have to see the plan. You have to find a way to get there, and then you have to, at the end of it, do it. You have to be able to execute. And that's what I know needs to happen in the county. The toxic atmosphere, all that, we are trying to replace it with positive leadership. A leader is someone with a vision who motivates the people around them. And that's what's needed. That's what I think we need to do. I've been doing it for 40 years. I've worked through fatalities and safety, and I've worked through losing money and losing team members. And always you have to come back and find your vision. You have to convince people that there is a future and a path, and then you have to execute. And sometimes that's the hardest part, because the execution takes a lot of details. But at the end of the day, it's about having faith and being positive and having a faith in your people. The last 5, 6 months, I've been so impressed with the quality of people in Grand County government, and I know that we can do anything we set our hearts and minds to. Thank you.
All right, thank you for all the candidate responses and the introduction. We're going to get right to some questions. And my first question is going to go to Merritt. Economic development has become a focus for many small communities across the nation. As we continue to rebound from the recent recession, what do you believe the top 2 economic development concepts and strategies the county can invest in to build a stronger future, and why? And to follow it up, do you believe the county's current economic development program is creating a return on investment for us? Give us some examples.
Thank you, that's a great question. I think that everything that we do is economic development. If you think about all the services that we provide, I think every bit of it is economic development. Can we put a dollar figure on every time the snowplow comes down your road? Did you get $1 back for that? Probably not. How can you account for that? Do you get $1 every time the public health institutes an immunization program for school kids? Get $1 back for that? Probably not. I'm saying that everything we do is economic development. Now specifically, yes, we have a community development department, and we have Grand Enterprise Initiative, which is a part of that. Our community development department is working on a project called the Disney Way, and I think that is an excellent example of how we can use an empty school as a resource to bring in conventions and groups into Grand Lake. They had an event there last night, which I attended, and it was a tremendous amount of energy there with the book signing for the Disney Way. They're doing a John Shallert boot camp that helps businesses to formulate plans to expand or bring better customer service, and they make them more efficient and effective. The Grand Enterprise Initiative is an organization within the Community Development Department. They have created 99 jobs. They have started or helped with 46 businesses. All but 14 of them are still in existence in Grant County. Some failed. That's okay, businesses do fail. And some moved away. I think 5 moved away. A total amount of sales revenue generated from that enterprise initiative is $3.7 million in revenue generated in sales. The other telling thing about that initiative is that we just recently got a $10,000 award from Mountain Parks Electric that believes in that program. That is more telling than any dollar we get back. Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat your question?
I think the audience would not, if we could speed things along. But
So here's the deal. What do you believe are the top 2 things that we can invest in to make our future better?
I would put the categories of if the county is going to use your tax dollars, and that's a big if, to pay for what we hope will return in economic growth. If we do that, I think 2 areas that's worth focusing on and collaborating with is non-seasonal employment and infrastructure. And what I mean by that is we've got a county, at least, well, the whole county, especially the east side, but the whole county depends heavily on tourism. And it's great winters, and the summers are getting better and better, really phenomenal. And the summer probably helps the western side, as they're probably surged in the tourist economy, river, fishing, hunting in the fall. So mud season, right? In swing season, a lot of restaurants close, the tourists aren't coming. If we wanted to consider that time in the county, again, it's a big if, but if we try to assist in some classes, maybe some courses, maybe educational academic type courses, or the trades, you know, the welding, we could consult with business leaders, the builders that we have here. What's the shortest sub-skill that you need? And try to have some classes so we can get some more licensed folks to do these trades and then be ready to go in the summertime. That would be something that would keep us all active. On the infrastructure side, I think we should do smart digging. Whatever, and we got to consult with the towns on this. I think the towns do more laying of water pipes and sewers and things like that. All the county land is pretty much septic and wells. But whenever we dig a trench and we lay a pipe, let's consult, and we have a board to do this called the UCC. Have you heard of it? The Utility Coordination Council. They meet once a month, man. They go over all things that are happening. And I've been starting to attend those to try to say, put some conduit in that line too, if you can. And that way it's just, even if it's empty, then you can feed fiber later on, comm fiber, stuff like that. You don't have to dig up again. So we can assist in those ways.
Same question, Tom. We're just looking for a background.
Okay. My first strategy is that I believe we need to take an inventory of the resources that are currently available within Grant County. As an example, high-speed internet. 2 weeks ago, the Economic Development and the commissioners presumed that we were lacking in internet capacity. After meeting with representatives from CenturyLink and with the local internet provider, it turns out that we actually do have very good internet, and in fact better than some of our surrounding communities. However, at this past Tuesday's commission meeting, there was discussion on applying for a matching grant for up to $20,000 to study our internet capacity. Commissioner Tollett thought that that was an appropriate expenditure. Commissioner Mancuso said, no, it looks like we could generate this information in-house. Commissioner Linke said, well, I can see the value of both sides. It was decided to discuss this further at a future date. We need to learn to rely on the expertise that we already have in place. The second strategy we need to implement is to improve communication between the county and all of the various communities. None of us can presume to know what each community wants or needs. Tonight, The question would be, Fraser, Winter Park, what do you see as a need for your community, and how can the county help you? Is the county getting an effective return on their economic development? On the surface, I would say no. The county has spent $920,000 over the last 4 years, and with the sales tax of 6%, that's only generating $222,000.
Thank you, Tom. Chaz, same question. And I'll repeat it.
I think that countywide, reliable high-speed broadband internet is critical. The business environment has changed dramatically in the last 15 years. We have now people that come to Grant County, non-site specific, telecommuters they're called. All they need is good high-speed internet and a computer. I recently went skiing with a fellow and got to talking to him, and it turns out he was a radiologist from New York City. And he lives in Rendezvous. He can read his x-rays here. He works for a hospital again in New York City, and it's great. He lives here, he's raising his family here, he bought a house here, he's spending his salary here, he's part of our community. It's a win-win for everybody. Tom is right. There is high-speed internet available, but not for everybody. We have a real problem with speeds, uptime and downtime, as far as the amount of people that are on the system drags the system down. I think we need to work better with county, CenturyLink, a lot of these other companies, figure out how we can get this reliable high-speed internet to people. We can enhance that, and with that, I think we can try to get companies to come here. Mid-sized companies, maybe 50 to 100 employees that can come here, live here. We have everything. We have great skiing, great hiking, fishing. We have everything. Why wouldn't a company want to relocate here? It'd be a great perk for their employees. Secondly, I think that recruiting businesses to Grant County is very, very important, as I was just saying. The county's expenditures on economic development have been just shy of $1 million since 2012. And I don't personally have enough data to be subjective on the return on investment without further detailed research. I would say that some data does show the Grant Enterprise Initiative shows 46 new business and 99 new jobs created in the last 4 years.
Andy's other question was the top 2 things that you would invest in as an economic development leadership.
Yeah, the basics are, Meredith is correct, the roads and infrastructure, they have to work, and they are. We've got a great county road department. We've got a good the basics. Most everybody has the basics. We have to go beyond that, and we've been working hard to do that. There was an interesting article in Outside Magazine this month on Moab, and Moab, we all know, is doing tremendously well. The mayor of Moab is David Sackerson, lived there for 40 years, and his quote was, "We didn't see it coming. I mean, who the hell wants to jump off of a cliff? Trying to anticipate these things is pretty difficult. We don't know which direction recreation is going to go. We have pretty good ideas. We're building the infrastructure. Chaz is correct. We have some of the best, but it didn't come by accident. It came because all of us have worked tremendously hard at it. We've built huts. We've built trails. I built a community trail that takes people from, in the wintertime, skiing from Fraser all the way to Winter Park ski area. We started doing that by snowmobile for several winters until I got so tired I couldn't lift them out of the ditch. It's now grew by snowcat. These infrastructure things bring economic development to the community because someone comes into town, hopefully a leader of a fairly large business, and it happens. They become enamored with the place, they bring their business here. So the job of the economic development director, and she's done this in several cases, Diane Butler has, identifies this person, she becomes a facilitator to try and bring this business into the community. And she's done that. One other sidelight, in a different way with community development, is in Kremlin, right now, Confluence Energy, the pellet plant, is suffering. They were producing pellets for the fracking industry. The fracking industry took a dive because of because of the Saudis, basically. They're not selling their pellets. They've gone from 3-digit employment to 2-digit employment they're struggling. They have new product ideas. They need some help. Diana's identified that. The county's beginning to work with them. We need to help existing businesses also. Thank you.
The top two concepts we need to focus on are strengthening and keeping our existing businesses. People don't want to come to a bare naked Grand County with just the beautiful rivers and mountains. But they're important. It's the #1 reason people recreate here. But it's the coffee shops, the restaurants. Restaurants are critical to people. The nice hotels, all the other supporting businesses that we have are what start bringing people here. They can imagine living here. So we have got to be supporting the businesses that live here. And that was the original mission that our economic developer was given. I would say that $1 million, and we have not put that much into Grand Enterprise, for a $3.4 million investment has been a pretty good rate of return. And that $3.4 million was accumulated just by the first year of increased sales, not cumulative sales. So the impact has been greater than that. The second thing we need to do is create the vision for Grand County. That's what Diane is doing with the Economic Development Grant, partially funded by Climax Henderson, and looking at what is the market analysis, what do we need in Grand County. And one of the top two things that employers cannot find in Grand County are trained workers and affordable housing. They go together. The towns are working on the affordable housing. I believe if we have the housing and we can get the jobs, we will get the workers. But those things are critical. Without those, if you don't have people, you cannot run a business. The other thing is broadband, because in a short term, without building a business, you can get people in that are location neutral. And the fact that we should probably have a more secure and a better analysis is proof positive, as you've heard. There's not a good agreement on where good internet is, what is good internet, how much internet do we have. A survey I was at Mount Parks Electric on Saturday, 75% of the people surveyed said they were unhappy with their internet service. That's why we should probably be investing more into internet broadband infrastructure. Thank you.
So we have a rebuttal period for you guys as well. And I kind of want to toss this out just on the same front. I know we cited a lot on the Grand Initiative program itself, but is that truly a county-run program, or is that funding from elsewhere? And are we seeing a return on our money that's going to the Economic Development Department? And looking for a rebuttal of any kind. You'll get to start next, Richard, I promise.
The Grand Enterprise Initiative is funded partially by Grand County, probably just a little under half of the total budget. The key thing that I think is important to remember is there is some private funds in there, and every single town in the county believes in this program, except for one, has funded it. Every town in the county has funded this program. Just recently, I mentioned this just a minute ago, Mount Parks Electric has come through with a $10,000 grant voted on by their board, and they believe in this program also. Jackson County, who I work with the commissioners in Jackson County, we share some commissioners, are interested in expanding the program into Jackson County. And as soon as we can get it scheduled, our enterprise facilitator is going to make a pitch or a presentation to the Jackson County commissioners with probably a board member also, and they're willing to probably put in some funding if they can dedicate a day or two a month for facilitations to take place in Jackson County. Thank you.
The rough budget for the county's economic development division is about $300K a year, maybe slightly less, $300K a year. Of that, usually $45K goes to the Grand Enterprise Initiative, okay? And you can't precisely quantify the benefits of all of that, but I want to go public in support of the Grand Enterprise Initiative. And I do appreciate the last 4 years. I think Diane Butler's done good work as the county's economic development officer. I want to give a slight rebuttal to one comment made. I want to be gentle about it. So Tom, many parts of the county have sufficient internet. Yes, they do. I have an internet company, and many swaths of the county do not. And so I think it's a problem worth considering. I am Republican. I'm not sure we'll directly do something there, and also we'll be very careful about conflict of interest regarding that should we get involved as a county in internet.
Well, Rich, as a whole, at that meeting on Tuesday, as a whole, the county was very well placed for high-speed internet. Obviously, there's always going to be portions that are underserved. As far as the economic development, I am absolutely in favor of economic development. But we have to be cautious. We need to be able to, don't blindly accept the numbers. I'm sorry, but if we start using the commissioner math, we spent close to $1 million, and I'll accept the numbers, which I do have some reservations on, because as the assessor, we are responsible for picking up all those new businesses and new jobs, and I don't see them. But using assessor data, but using commissioner math, if we spend $1 million and we generated 3.7 million, sales tax is only 6%. Therefore, we only returned 220,000. We have to be careful about such success stories.
Thank you, Chaz. Rebuttal on these
Yes.
comments.
As a businessman, I was very troubled by it that Grant County did not have any economic development in place in the spring of 2012. As you recall, we were at the height of the Great Recession. People were losing their houses, businesses were closing the doors, and there was a big exit from Grant County. I knew that I needed to do something, so I got with an outside firm, worked with these guys that specialized. They were experts, and we drafted this document. And it was a document, the Strategic Economic Development Plan for Grant County. And again, at the time, Grant County didn't have any economic development whatsoever. I guess my question is, why did it take a citizen to come forward and say, hey, we're having some real problems here? I think with Diane Butler and the Economic Development Department, she didn't have any real direction in the beginning. I think that she needed to be pointed better in what she needed to do, what the metrics were going to be to measure her success. And that never happened. I think there needs to be better direction.
Just a couple of things. Board direction is key. If you've got an effective staff member, they'll be a lot more effective with good direction. The county has, concerning housing, housing is a crunch. The county does have a housing authority. I sat on the first board when they were founded. What the original mission was affordable housing. It's been lost, and it needs to come back. The town of Fraser last night, with an energetic new mayor, founded a housing committee. We also founded an economic development committee last night to work on that specifically at the town level. The next task will be to cooperate with the other communities and take that forward. Thank you.
It's a little like growing a plant. The seed doesn't grow overnight. We've had some great results, and I think some amazingly quick results from the what Patrick Brower has done. What Diane is doing is laying a lot different and a lot deeper groundwork. The economic development grant is going to help us vision. Where do we want Grant County to go? What kind of businesses do we want to attract? What kind of businesses do we need? A market analysis. What kind of infrastructure can we offer these businesses? We have not, as commissioners, gone out and started soliciting for businesses and looking for businesses. How can we attract businesses? Are there any things we could do to make coming to Grant County more interesting, more attractive? How can we help with the workforce and the housing? We haven't approached the girl at the bar yet, so to get her number. And that's what we're having to do with some of this market analysis. We are going to have to reach out and ask for some help, ask for some businesses to move here and see if we can make a deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. So I'm going to move to my next question. Thanks for all of your responses. And we're going to start with Richard for this next set. Grant County's geographically dispersed, and we hold some very views of how the political structure should actually go in our county. We have a grand history of feuding that stems back to the 19th century. Many of you know that history piece. A lot of people believe that the 3 county commissioners will continue to struggle, especially as we have competing interests with growth throughout our county and different weight and how that might look. I want to know, would home rule and a movement to 5 commissioners help solve some of our disputes?
Thank you, Michael. Definitely worth studying. I'm going to come right out and say at this time my answer is no. No, not at this time. Number one, the county has had a lot of turnover and a lot of turmoil. And we're coming out of some deficit year spending and we're going to balance the budget. And I'll say that the current commissioners are moving in that direction. So to transition now to home rule, let's get our act together first and get our finances healthy, and then maybe. As far as the 3 commissioners go, most home rules go to 5. You need an odd number. I don't think that's neutral, man. I mean, it's going to be a winning vote all the time, and we have that now, and that's good. 2-to-1 votes are fine. And then you move on. That's the way government works. Home rule might be good for King County someday, but I think the population should be higher. We're small. We're practically the population of the municipality, 14,000 people. Maybe close to 20,000 people would be the right size. I don't know, Aurora County does home rule. I met some of them down at the convention in Colorado Springs a month or so ago. Some of the municipalities, we ought to think about this, that do it today in Colorado: Avon, Breckenridge, Dillon, Frisco, Gypsum, Minturn, Silverthorne, Steamboat Springs, Vale, and believe it or not, folks, if you want to find out about home rule, talk to Winter Park. Winter Park's been under home rule. I didn't know when, I asked the mayor though, and since they were incorporated. So they've got a long history of home rule. I think we should study these places that have done it, see how we go about doing it. There's a lot of variability in how we execute home rule. My answer though for this question is keep the government organized as it is, and let's just start executing well, okay?
Tom, same question. Just curious your opinion.
By statute, a county can only have 5 commissioners if they have a population over 70,000. Grant County only has 14, so we're kind of precluded. However, if the county did want to go for home rule, they could adjust the number of commissioners. There's 64 counties throughout the state. There's only 4 of them that are home rule: City and County of Denver, City, County of Broomfield, Weld, and Pitkin counties. With home rule, you have to create a home rule charter which may establish its own structure of what the county government will be. This includes the number, the terms, the qualifications, compensation, and methods of selection of county officials and employees. I am not comfortable with having county management handpick our officials. If you believe that the current commissioners appear to be careless with your money, just think what 5 would do. This could develop into a huge nightmare of nepotism and cronyism. I think rather than adding more commissioners, we should have 3 commissioners be more visible and available to the public. Listening to the needs is more important than how many.
T, you said there's feuding in Grant County?
Yeah, there has been a couple times.
Who's feuding? It's not me, I like everybody. Everybody in Grant County needs to understand that we are all different and accept that. Some of my best friends are Democrats. That was a joke. You guys can laugh. Seriously, it all starts with, in my opinion, what's been lacking in the commissioner seats for a long, long time, and that's respect. Commissioners need to respect every citizen, every county worker, each other's views, and know that we aren't always going to agree. That's just the reality. As Tom said, I think he stole my notes, state statute requires that in order to have 5 commissioners, you need to have at least 70,000 citizens. We only have 14,000, so that can't happen. But I would like to talk about 3 commissioners and the 3-commissioner system. One of the problems, I think, one of the big problems that we have with it. First off, public meetings need to be public. With 3 commissioners, 2 make a quorum. With Colorado open record meeting laws, often known as the Sunshine Law, public business needs to be conducted in public. 2 commissioners can't talk about making important decisions outside public meetings. Unfortunately, this has been happening. There's a reason for this law, and even though the monetary penalties for infractions are small, the mistrust by citizens is very large. You have to do everything in public. It's a public meeting. Business needs to be discussed in public, period. Okay, so also with 3 commissioners, only one commissioner needs to convince another commissioner to vote with them on any issue, any motion that they have. So essentially 2 commissioners can be king of the world. And I think that's been happening for a long time in Grant County. I would be open to looking at home rule. However, there are the questions that need to be addressed, and that's, as Tom said, about the charter and what Rich was talking about, different rules for home rule towns and also for counties. 2 different sets of rules.
Thanks, Mike. I'll focus on something a little bit different here, the history of feuding amongst the county commissioners. I've had some really nice talks with Ellen Crabtree lately. Ellen was a member of the board back when I covered for the manifest in the late 1970s. The commissioners then were Ellen Crabtree, an artist from the Fraser Valley named Bill Chenoweth, and Herb Bouchard from Kremlin, an excellent board. There were courthouse fiefdoms in those days that they came upon. I helped end one of those when we had a county treasurer that was an ex-county treasurer, wanted to become a county commissioner, and it became plain through county records that he was enjoying a relationship with a Kremlin banker that wasn't to the benefit of county taxpayers at all. I helped bring that out in the open through an article in the paper. We took the papers over to Kremlin, the manifest, and that person was defeated in the primary. So this was an extremely effective board. Paul Orey, we've had a history of good commissioners off and on. We've had too many problems here and there, but we need to go back and look at history and to understand ways to get past the difficulties we have right now. As far as home rule goes, I covered the incorporation of Winter Park. It's been a good system for them. I think that could be a possible long-term thing to look at. I think that Tom has excellent points that you give up control of your elected officials. One of the keys to the courthouse right now is we do have elected officials that are independent. But that's kicking the can down the road. The can that we need to take care of right now is a can of worms at the courthouse. Thank you.
There's 9 elected officials in Greene County. The feuding is not with the commissioners. And one of the issues with home rule, there's pros and cons to it. The citizens decide if we're going to go to home rule. It becomes a ballot issue. The citizens can help decide the charter. So in a way, there is more say over how you want your government to be run, but you can decide with 5 commissioners, and you're only electing 5 officials instead of 9. And those 5 officials do appoint treasurer, clerk, and recorder, and assessor. So it's a trade-off. But the issue we have at hand, I agree with Andy, is really what is going on right now. And what we have to agree on, all 9 of us have to be focused on what is best for Grand County. And when we're not focused on the same vision, when we are not focused on the same goal, that's when a lot of the issues happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Any rebuttal?
I didn't get a chance to talk about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad, Mayor. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Thank you.
You started something.
I've had, I guess, some experience with home rule in that I first was interested in this almost a year ago when I shared a taxi cab with a commissioner from Weld County on the way to the airport when I was in Washington advocating for PILT funding, which I think is going to come up later on today. And I talked to him about that. I also talked to one of the commissioners from Pitkin County, and that's the only 2 counties in Colorado that are statutory counties that are not city and county of, that actually became home rule. When the home rule legislation was in effect, was enacted in 1975, those 2 counties became home rule counties. They set up their own charter. I also most recently had a conversation with another Weld County commissioner about this, and I actually asked her some specific questions about how they did it. And to answer the question, I'm just going to say, I think it is worth looking at. If it's the right fit for Grand County, it does have to go to a vote of the citizens. It's not 3 commissioners saying, okay, yeah, let's go home rule. So there's a lot of things that are appealing with home rule counties. You do set up your own charter that is acted upon by the citizens. The way that Weld County does it, I'm not saying we adopt theirs because you can set it up any way that you want. And it is not that you can do anything above and beyond what is statutorily required by counties. That's not what home rule is about. Actually, towns have a little more leeway in that aspect than counties do. However, it is different in how the county government is run and how we do things. Not what we do, but in how we do. In Weld County, they have 3 commissioner districts. You can only vote for the commissioner in your district, but you can also vote for 2 at-large commissioners to make up a board, so essentially you vote for 3. I think there's a lot of positive aspects worth looking into to see if home rule is a fit for Grant County. I'd advocate supporting looking into it.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any rebuttal? Sorry. Any rebuttal on Mayor's comments?
We need to get our own house in order. We don't need to be talking about home rule or 5 commissioners. We need to get Grand County under control, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for all your responses. Yeah, you can rebut that, yes. Sorry.
I guess I would like to know, what is out of control? Did your road not get plowed? Did the sheriff not come when your house is being robbed? Did EMS not come when you're having a heart attack? What is out of control? We're well on the way to having a balanced budget. Just because we disagree doesn't mean that we have out of control commissioners. Listening to and agreeing with are 2 different things, and we need to accept that. One last side story. As a business person, which I know that there's some in this room that don't see granting as a business enterprise, but it's a $20 million asset and $100 million or $100,000 worth of equipment, that's a business. I leased a ranch near Granby, a historic ranch, and on that ranch was the gravesite of one of the original commissioners that was killed in that original first shootout, which was a squabble over where the courthouse was to be located. His gravesite is still there today.
All right, so we're going to move on just a little bit. Oh, okay, sorry.
Good story, one more. Bill Chenoweth, the artist, he had a discussion in the commissioner's room one time. Bill had painted a picture of the shooting of the commissioners. The discussion was, does this hang on the wall or not in the boardroom? It was tense, and they did decide to move it. They had it there for a while. It's in the museum now. But that was a great board discussion.
Thank you for adding some realism to our thought. So we're going to move on to a little bit on healthcare. There's a rising cost in healthcare, aging population, and the rural nature of our communities. It makes it difficult for us to offer all the services necessary for a reasonable quality of life. I would like to know, what is the net impact of public health programs on the county budget? How has that changed over the last 5 years? And then, in your opinion, are the programs adequate to meet the needs of our community, or do we need to look at some other options? And I'm going to Tom Whiter first. Thank you, Tom.
This question I've had a very difficult time analyzing. The short time frame that we had to research all of this, what I can tell you is that there seems to be 4 major subgroups: home health, senior services, home care, and public health. By statute, some of these functions are mandated, some are optional, some are 100% funded, some are split funding like 80-20, and home health apparently has been closed or taken over by the visiting nurses for a reported savings of about $400,000 to the county. When you look at the budget, it looks very impressive. It had total expenses of $1.3 million, but it had revenues of $481,000 for a net cost of $890,000, which, when divided by the FTEs, or the full-time equivalent of employees, of 20.48, that actually gives one of the best department comparisons for the county. The problem arises is with the FTEs don't add up. I know because in my department, I have 9 full-time employees and 1 part-time, 3/4 time, but my budget says 9.59. I've asked the finance department why that is, and actually they got back to me late this afternoon, and they said it was, well, it was a number that was pulled from 2012. The other confusion is that the list of their services that they provide, it's very impressive. But when you look at what the commissioners have added from their budget of an additional $180,000, there's duplication from other agencies. We need to prioritize our spending.
Thank you. Chaz.
As far as the numbers go, it's 1.1 million in 2016 was the impact, 162,000 in 2010. When I originally drafted the answer for this question, it was 10 minutes long, so I'm going to try to put this into 2 minutes. This is a week.
I know it's a deep one. Sorry.
So I think the question is spurred by the cutting of funds for home health and hospice, and perhaps about the high cost of insurance in rural Colorado. Both of these are real issues to us. The one area that is currently lacking is home health and hospice. They were funded through the county until they were recently cut from the budget. These services are currently being handled through the Routt County Home Health Agency, and reports are that they are doing a good job. These services are expensive, especially in a large rural county where even the travel time from case to case makes it very hard to afford. Secondly, Medicare is the largest payer of home health services, does not pay enough per patient to keep the doors open without subsidies. Thirdly, some citizens need home health, have limited funds, and no insurance. As a county, we need to decide if public funding of these services is more important than other needs. I would also look to the Denver, Summit, and Routt County hospitals to see if we can obtain some funding from these programs. Not having these services delays discharges and costs them money. All of the counties that do not have home health and hospice are poor rural counties. In a time of budget crisis, the question should be, how can we afford to assist in the provision of these services? Should it be up to the voters to decide if limited county funds should be spent here? I think the answer is occurring right now in Routt County. Spreading the administrative cost across a larger population and using resources, nurses and home health aides, more wisely, may be the only solution. As far as the excessive insurance cost in rural Colorado, the governor just signed Colorado House Bill 1336 is required by to require the Colorado Insurance Commission to study options to equalize health insurance premiums across Colorado by creating a single geographic rating area for individual policy premiums. Some people here pay 50% more than Denver residents. I told you it's going to be long.
Andy.
This was a difficult question to research in a short amount of time. Understand we've got to be able to think on our feet, but also remember that part of being a commissioner is utilizing the staff and the resources you have to answer complicated questions.